Meet the sports beard. A sign of wisdom and strength, it can be spotted in spring training and in spring playoffs. Some can seem unkempt and a little bent out of shape. Others overkempt and sculpted to perfection. And while many sporting beards have collected tears of failure, a select few have savored the ultimate victory. Sports beards may hide sports faces, but sports faces can't hide from the truth. Athletes and facial hair have enjoyed a love-hate relationship in recent times. Take the famous stache of Mark Spitz succumbing to the smooth sailing face of Michael Phelps, only to once again find popularity on the post-season faces of professional hockey and baseball players, and on the no longer smooth sailing face of Michael Phelps. The original celebrity sports beard was perhaps found in cricket. Easily recognizable for his beard and his belly, W.G. Grace not only put the sport on the world map, but developed a dynamic brand of batsmanship that was never seen before. Grace and his beard died in 1915. But as fashion trends dictated facial hair's appearance and disappearance on athletes over the decades, a new resurgence has resulted in a competition created just outside Grace's hometown, attracting participants from all over the world.
You'll find out all hogonophiles. They're all people who love beards and moustaches.
Grace's legacy lives on in the sport 100 years after his death, with cricketers like South African Test captain Hashim Amla and England all-rounder Moeen Ali valiantly sporting Grace's signature shaveless face, a sign that the beard is back.
What I want you to do, I know you've got the corns here.
Coming up, facial hair in football, the evolution, the revolution, and the men who've worn it best.
Prove it with the required.
Facial hair in football sprouted to life in the 1970s, with some of the legends of the sport opting for the look. Leading the way was West Germany's Paul Breitner. Breitner was a European champion in 1972 and a World Cup winner in 1974. With 5 Bundesliga and 2 La Liga titles to his name, the left-back and midfielder was versatile with a killer right foot. Now a member of Bayern Munich's management board, Breitner was just as famous for his radical communist views as his face. But he betrayed his facial fuzz in 1982, causing great controversy when he accepted 150,000 Deutschmarks from a German cosmetics company to shave it off. Another bearded legend was the extravagant and extraordinary George Best. Belfast's biggest hero became football's first celebrity, a balancing act of weaving past defenders on the pitch and weaving a web of excesses and disasters off it. I spent a lot of money on booze, birds, and fast cars. The rest I just squandered, he said. His furry face became a symbol of who he was, able to drag himself to the pitch after a night on the town. He'd nonetheless owned that pitch, nonchalantly leading Manchester United to victory after victory. Debuting for the Red Devils at just 17, he scored 179 goals in 470 appearances in 11 years, winning a European Cup and Ballon d'Or in 1968. He quit the club unexpectedly at 27, opting to use the game as an excuse to travel the world. Other bearded legends of the generation included Breitner's Bayern sidekick, Gerd Müller, who still holds the record for most team goals, and one of the game's greatest midfielders, Brazil's Sócrates, whose beard and headband made him a fan favorite and the hallmark of cool. After a disappearing act, facial hair has returned with a vengeance. For some, it hasn't worked. For others, it has. Take Gerard Piqué. The Barcelona native waited to make his whiskers a permanent part of his face, only after becoming a permanent part of Barca's back four after a stint with Manchester United, which ended in 2008. And once he did, the centre-back became a bearded, trophy-yielding machine. Piqué would help win Barca their historic treble in 2009, taking La Liga, the Copa del Rey, and Champions League. They ended the year with the Spanish Super Cup, the UEFA Super Cup, and the FIFA Club World Cup. In 2010, Piqué earned himself a victory off the pitch, scoring himself his future wife in Shakira, and celebrated with the 2010 World Cup. He's since won 2 more Champions Leagues and a Euro 2012 title. On the wrong end of that title game was a man known as the architect for his ability to build play. Andrea Pirlo designed himself quite the crumb catcher following the loss, garnering comparisons to another fearless hero, Chuck Norris. However, the Italian midfield maestro's reasons behind it were anything but heroic. "I don't want to waste time shaving," he said. Not shaving may give Pirlo more time to tend to his vineyard in his home province of Brescia, but he may want to reconsider. He was beardless for his 2 Champions League titles in 2003 and 2007, and when he hoisted the World Cup in 2006. In fact, his closest chance at European glory with it came in a 3-1 loss to Gerard Piqué's Barcelona in the 2015 Champions League final. But perhaps no man has done football facial hair better than David Beckham. Bex has grown up in the spotlight, and so too has his ability to grow facial hair. From his Champions League winning sideburns of 1999 to his pirate goatee with Real Madrid, things really took off for the former midfielder in the furry face department when he signed with the Los Angeles Galaxy in 2007. Beckham transformed both the MLS and his facial hair, winning 2 MLS Cups and 2 MLS Supporters' Shields in 6 seasons with the club, scoring 20 goals. He retired in 2013 while on loan with Paris Saint-Germain, cementing his place as one of the game's greatest bristled gentlemen.
David will leave a very strong legacy here. He showed how a player should behave, how he should train, how he should play, how a player should interact with other people. David is a master in that area.
As a traveling philanthropist and ambassador with seemingly little time to shave, his beard would become as long as his appearance list, causing his posh wife, Victoria, to threaten, "There's no way I'm kissing you unless you shave that off." Honourable mentions for best football beards include the thick-whiskered duo of Australia's national team captain, Mile Jedinak, and Brazilian defensive midfielder, Sandro. US keeper Tim Howard compensates for the chrome dome with some solid facial growth. And then there's Djibril Cissé, who's never really known what to do with it. But for all those who can grow and style them at their leisure, the game's biggest pretty boy, Cristiano Ronaldo, can't seem to grow one at all, having to resort to disguises to know what a furry face feels like. the early 1970s, the Oakland A's, led by all-star pitcher Rollie Fingers, started a trend that was greeted with delight and dismay. The sports moustache. The A's made the 1972 World Series against the Cincinnati Reds, a team that banned facial hair altogether. Dubbed the Hairs versus the Squares, the Hairs won 4-3. Time now to celebrate some of world sport's best mows. In Formula One, behind the helmet of Nigel Mansell was a moustache he wore for good luck and for good measure, having won 31 races and the World Championship in 1992. If anyone knows championships, it's the mustachioed Michael Jordan. The Bull legend was an NBA Finals MVP in each of his 6 NBA championship title runs. He was a 5-time league MVP, a 14-time All-Star, and was even the league's Defensive Player of the Year in 1998. NHL great Lanny McDonald grew a walrus lip back in the late 70s and became his trademark with the Calgary Flames. And although he retired a 1989 Stanley Cup champion, the moustache hasn't gone away. One moustache just getting started is that of golf's Ricky Fowler. The former world #1 amateur golfer is still unsure whether to make his amateur whiskers a permanent part of his youthful face, considering he won his first Pro Tour title, the Wells Fargo Championship, with one in 2012, and his second, the 2015 Scottish Open, without. And finally, iconic Australian cricketer Merv Hughes has no doubts when it comes to his treasured tash, having represented his nation for over a decade with it, taking 212 wickets while scoring 2 half-centuries in tests and over 1,000 runs in all. After the break, James Harden goes from busy bench warmer to the NBA's most feared beard. If Samson gained strength from his hair, there is one NBAer who's become a menace with his beard. James Harden grew it as a freshman in college, admitting he was too lazy to shave. His beard became a man in the NBA. But despite winning the 2012 Sixth Man of the Year award with Oklahoma City, Harden grew tired of the bench and soon joined the Houston Rockets.
From last game.
It was there that his game and his beard really took off. Case in point, the 2014-15 campaign, where he averaged 27.4 points, 7 assists, and 5.7 rebounds a game. Although he finished second in NBA MVP voting, he won the inaugural NBA Players Association MVP. Harden and the beard have even made it big on the international stage, winning gold at London 2012 and the FIBA Basketball World Cup in 2014. Houston is desperate for an NBA title missing since 1995. But with Harden and his beard, anything can happen. It seems that many other NBAers have caught on to the power that hides behind facial hair. In fact, since Dirk Nowitzki took home the NBA MVP award in 2007, every league MVP has sported some. That's if you include 2015 winner Stephen Curry and his peach fuzz. And to show just how intimidating the fuzz can be, just look at the league leaders in rebounds for the 2014-2015 season. The top 4 in the category, from DeAndre Jordan through to Tyson Chandler, all had facial hair. Fear the beards, indeed. Football managers have generally remained clean-shaven. But with the likes of Jurgen Klopp, Rafa Benitez, even Jose Mourinho on an off day, hair has become a regular facial feature. And in the case of two football bosses, it's added elegance, authority, and a pinch of lunacy to them. In Germany, the gap left by Jurgen Klopp when he stepped down as the colourful coach of Borussia Dortmund in 2015 has been filled admirably by Spanish stickler for detail, Pep Guardiola. Pep started growing the beard as he started losing the hair on his head, making him seem even more cerebral. And since his departure from Barcelona in 2012 and his arrival at Bayern Munich in 2013, Guardiola's salt and pepper beard has become symbolic of the man he's become, able to bring out the best in his players and lighting a fire under them, if necessary. No one is exempt from that fire, not even journalists.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. It's my colleague, I respect my colleague, and colleague can play like, look at me when I talk to you. Yeah, look at me when I talk to you.
And then there's Roy Keane. He wasn't the friendliest guy while manning the midfield with Manchester United in the 90s and early 2000s. Just ask his old coach, Sir Alex Ferguson. The hardest part of Roy's body is his tongue, he said. But you'd think the tough-talking, tough-tackling Irishman would have mellowed out after trading his playing boots for a manager's clipboard. Think again. With each managerial move, Keane and his lumberjack beard became even more unpredictable, much like himself. In 2014, Sir Alex and Keane exchanged verbal blows via their autobiographies, with Keane defending himself from accusations that he was a dressing room bully.
And obviously Ferguson had pals in the media. He's got a few here today. I can spot him. You spot him a mile away. He has pals, so they'll put out little snippets about you and build a story about you, which is lies, basic lies. So I had to come out and say, listen, not at the time. You have to bide your time, and I've waited long enough. So here we go.
What we do know is that only Roy Keane is man and manic enough to pull off the best axe murderer beard in sport. The 2014 World Series between the Boston Red Sox and St. Louis Cardinals was aptly named the Battle of the Beards. But the facial hair epidemic in baseball reached fever pitch in 2010, thanks to the beard himself, Brian Wilson. The 2010 Major League Save King with 48 justified his growth by saying, "It's basically the epitome of man. God gave man the ability to grow facial hair, and that's what he did." And now, that's what baseball players do. In 2013, 58% out of 212 baseball players in the majors had facial hair of some sort, and it seemed to work in their favor. 2014 World Series MVP Madison Bumgarner of the San Francisco Giants was a bearded giant in the Fall Classic, giving up just 1 run in 5 career games, striking out 31 batters in 36 innings, and recording a World Series best 0.25 ERA. 3 World Series MVPs before him also featured facial fuzz, with David Ortiz, Pablo Sandoval, and David Freese combining to hit .491 with 7 home runs and 17 RBIs. Facial hair can be made a symbol of pride and unity. Just ask the 2013 Boston Red Sox.
They cared for one another, and in return.
In April of that year, the Boston Marathon was rocked by a terrorist attack that left 3 people killed and 264 injured. But determined to give their city something to smile about, the Bo Sox went out and won the American League East. they eventually made it all the way to the World Series, taking out the St. Louis Cardinals in 6 games, while becoming only the second team in history to win it all a year after finishing dead last in their division. In doing so, they proved to the world that the city of Boston was indeed strong.
In a time of need, in response to a tragedy, I go back to our players understanding their place in this city. For lack of a better way to describe it, they get it. They get that there's, I think, a civil responsibility that we have wearing this uniform, particularly here in Boston. And it became a connection initially, the way our guys reached out to individuals or to hospital visits, and it continued to build throughout the course of the season.
The Bo Sox also won themselves a trip to the White House and further accolades from the president himself.
As a baseball fan, I appreciate their comeback season, but more importantly, as president, I'm grateful for their character and their embrace of the essential role they played in the spirit of that city. Sometimes sports seems like it's trivial. It's just an entertainment. And then every once in a while, you're reminded that sports represents something else. And it has the power to bring people together like almost nothing can. And all of you should be very proud of what you accomplished.
The beards became an iconic part of their attire, with 92% of the team sprouting some sort of facial hair by the time they won their 8th World Series title.
Can you get one last picture for all of you, please?
And when the celebration ended, the famous beards were shaved off to raise $100,000 for the One Fund, which assists families affected by the bombings.
It's a good feeling. I think what we've been through this year, I think it was something that accomplished. Us doing it and get people's mind clear and just let everybody know that it wasn't just us as a player that won the championship, it was everybody in this city.
Coming up, facial furniture between the eyes, seeing the world in mono. For some, the moustache is something to be worn below the nose. For others, it's a monobrow to be worn above it. Take Washington Capitals captain Alex Ovechkin. The 3-time NHL MVP is the best ice hockey player to come out of Russia in the last decade, and so too is his monobrow. And although the physical winger from Moscow may resemble Frankenstein, he's one of the fastest and most exciting players in the game today. Football has had some of the best facial caterpillars in sport, with Carlos Tevez refusing to manscape down the middle of his eyes. Manchester United midfielder Marouane Fellaini has hair growing there and everywhere else, it seems, while Portuguese right-back José Bosingua seems to be constantly scowling. And when he is laughing, it's at the wrong time, caught doing so after his own team, Queen's Park Rangers, was relegated. But the best example in all of sport is found in the NBA. Because if James Harden has you fearing the beard, New Orleans Pelicans power forward Anthony Davis is grooming defiance personified. But it's clear that despite the dead weight between the eyes, he remains one of the league's brightest stars. Having trademarked the phrases "fear the brow" and "raise the brow," there's little chance he'll be getting rid of the goods anytime soon. Even if he could definitely afford to, Davis signed a 5-year, $145 million extension with the Pelicans in July 2015. Facial hair can appear or disappear based on superstition, and if caught in a slump, usually the beard is one of the first things to go. But generally, the beard in particular can be seen as an intimidating feature to an athlete's armor. Or as Los Angeles Dodgers pitcher J.P. Howell says, it feels like a little cape you can hide behind. Perhaps the man who's worn it best in pro sport is also the man who's worn it the longest. Indian long-distance runner Fauja Singh became the oldest person to ever participate in a marathon, completing the 10-kilometer event in Hong Kong. Singh crossed the finish line with a time of 1 hour, 32 minutes and 28 seconds at the tender age of 101. And that is the truth.